AEW Double or Nothing is this Sunday. Going to give you the preview and predictions for this show today. Plenty of matches to discuss about. I've got a guest joining me as well. But before we go into it, first off, you need a match card to know what we're discussing here today. I think we can agree that is a stacked looking card from top to bottom there. 9 matches we'll be discussing in total. One of them wasn't released as a match graphic, so I'm guessing that will probably be announced on Rampage or something. That will be the Hardy Party versus the Firm, be the first match talking about here today. But without further ado, in the meantime, I'm going to get my guest on today because, well, it was double or nothing. I did decide to go double. WrestleMania UK from Wrestling's in-house. Mex, how are you doing?
I feel like I'm in one of my homes on YouTube. Thanks for having me, Steve. I'm very happy to be here and very happy to talk AEW with you. And of course, Double or Nothing. It's going to be a great show.
Absolutely, indeed. It's great to have you on as always. And like I say, yeah, make yourself at home. Put your feet up. Let's get a beer open as well. Let's crack it open for the next hour or so. And we're going to be discussing plenty of matches in total. But of course, like you say, you've been a regular on the channel before. But for those that may or may not have seen you before, must have done by now, people, if you haven't already. Mex, tell them a bit about yourself. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, WrestleMania UK, just all over the place, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. I've got content all across the place. You can also find me on Wrestlings, part of the Wrestlings Collective. We're making all kinds of stuff, podcasts for no matter what you're watching, if it's indie shows or AEW or WWE podcast coming very soon, as well as just our weekly podcast, other kind of feature shows as well. So yeah, your one-stop shop for all things wrestling.
Absolutely. I've got to say the hard work you put in, Mex, into your channel along with Wrestlings is unbelievable. Like there's at least a good couple of videos coming out from yourself every week, whether they're recorded. You've got the live stream with Wrestle Extra, of course, with Black Wrestling Alliance. And I mean, also, like you said, with Wrestlings doing the likes of the Wrestle Box, like the Goggle Box style theme show. Is one of my favorites. Obviously, you've got the preview predictions. You've got the paywall now as well going on. Lots going on. But for those that are unaware of anything going on Wrestlings, I wanted to do something as a bit of fun. I've only done this once on the channel previously, but I thought this was a good opportunity to bring it back in. It's a segment that I like to call Gimmick Infringement. That's right. We're going to take something from another channel, bring us to this channel for people that may or not have seen it before. So Wrestlings have brought out a fairly recent new series, and I thought it could be quite fun as we're doing Double or Nothing to discuss it here today, and that is overrated or underrated. So I've picked up 5 topics here, and I'm going to get your take if they're overrated or underrated. The chat may get involved in this as well if they wish. So the first one we're going to go with is Double or Nothing build.
Oh, I was literally just talking about this earlier today. I would say underrated. It's been good. Especially compared to what we got for Revolution. The Revolution build was poo, in my opinion. So this, I'll say, is underrated. It's been good. It hasn't been anything over the top. I don't think they've over-promised on anything. We're getting, I feel we're warmed up very nicely for what we're going to get on Sunday.
Yeah, I feel that as well. There's certainly some feuds that have had much stronger build than others, but there has been the work put in across the board. I'm going to go and say underrated as well. I feel that there's a bit of bashing going with an AEW recently, and I think that this card personally doesn't deserve it. But we'll be talking about our excitement levels of this show in a couple of seconds as well. But before we do, we've got 4 more of these quickly to go through. MJF's World Championship reign so far.
You've really chosen some really difficult ones. MJF's World Championship reign so far. I will go underrated again. I know that might be controversial. Some people haven't been quite happy. Listen, at the end of the day, he's still a very young man. They've given him this baton to run with at a time where it's been pretty tumultuous in the company, just in general, whether that's backstage politics or stuff that's happening, that new stuff like Collision and all these other kind of bits, but he's still been like a shining light at this time, and he's been a very good world champion, although the usual things of he doesn't wrestle enough and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go with underrated.
I'm going to go underrated as well, purely on the basis that when it comes to AEW, I've always got my head switched on when MJF is on the screen, no matter what he's doing, no matter what program he's involved with. I'm switched on. With something else, maybe that's the time I might pick my phone up, or I might do something else. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me if I am or not. But at the same time, with MJF talks or he wrestles, I'm paying attention. Just a couple of answers. Ed Fry's in the house as well. Says, hey, by the way. And he says, underrated. I believe that was for the first one, which was the build. Has gone overrated, though, for MJF. And Too Sweet Carl in house as well, saying SCW putting in the work this week. Thank you very much indeed. Obviously, we'll be on the Mark Wrestling podcast this evening at midnight. Which of course is 7 p.m. Eastern time, which will be, I believe, 6 p.m. Central. Hopefully I've got that right there. I believe overrated was his take there for the actual build of this show. But I'm feeling we'll get a Goat Reigns at some point. That's obviously taking there with MJF once again there. So Ed, thank you for sharing that. Quickly we go then on to the third one I have for you. And I'm going to be honest with you, this might be my favorite one. Tony Khan's important announcements on AEW Weekly Shows.
My favorite topic to talk about. Again, today I was just talking about this. So I'm going to go, these are overrated because it's often like just stuff he could just announce on social media and doesn't need the whole Tony Khan has a huge announcement, tune in next week, stick. However, what I will say is I have been recently enjoying him. He's popped up a lot in the recent shows as this kind of GM with the pre-recorded bits of whatever he's been announcing, and I thought that's come across pretty nicely. I've almost thought like I would love him to do a bit more as a GM. I love my on-screen GMs. I know not everyone does, and obviously we've got Collision coming out, and could they get a GM and stuff like that? So I'm going to say for this particular one, it's overrated though. He needs to slow down on these huge announcements.
Yeah, Winnipeg is enough for me to say overrated. When he did the one where he was like, Winnipeg. He can overdo it. I think he can get a bit too passionate at times with these. But overrated for me on that one, if I'm going to be honest. I love the fact as well, I've got an answer who says, no comment. Thank you, Ed, for that one. I think we know what weight that lands on. But one of my other favourite ones here for you, AEW ticket sales for Allin at Wembley Stadium. I mean, the thing is, people obviously giving their taking a lot of opinion have been... Some people, in my opinion, have given this a bit of a negative spin, like it's not been seen as treated with the respect I think it could be given. So is it overrated or underrated that AEW have sold so many tickets so far for Wembley Stadium?
I definitely understand both sides of the coin, but the answer is underrated. We have to remember this is the biggest show AEW have now put on. Full stop, and this isn't even their turf. This isn't the US. They've left their country, their continent. They've come to a completely different place in Europe, in England, in London, and they've sold 60,000 tickets, 65,000 tickets already, and we're still ages away from the pay-per-view. We still don't even have one match that's going to be on the pay-per-view. This is a fantastic achievement. The cynic in me, should I say, WWE has done this before. So that's where I would say, this is overrated in terms of people are kind of saying too much about it because we've seen WWE do this on a regular basis. However, because this is uncharted territory, uncharted waters for AEW, it's definitely something to shout and scream about. It's underrated.
Absolutely. A company that's less than 5 years old, for me, it's underrated all day long. I think it should be praised. It should be almost glorified that another wrestling company is able to do that in this day and age when we thought at one point it wouldn't be possible. Too Sweet Carl says underrated on the ticket sale for a company that is still so young. So, completely agree with that as well. And one more then, and then we'll get into the predictions. And, this could be a controversial one. CM Punk.
Listen, he's overrated, man. He's overrated. I'm not playing down at all what he brings. The minute he stepped into AEW, he was a draw financially in terms of TV viewers and people watching the products and things of that nature. But for the trouble he can potentially bring and the controversy and unsettling the dressing room and all of that kind of stuff, it's overrated. Like we're hanging on, and we won't see CM Punk for the controversy ultimately, for those scathing promos and stuff like that, because no one's talking about his in-ring work. And we all claim to love wrestling, professional wrestling. We like the controversy to a certain extent. We don't like it when it's, taken away from the product and becoming too much. If they got rid of him now and just, cut their losses, I wouldn't care. At the same time, I would like to see him back. But even with him coming back, it's almost like a ticking time bomb that you just don't know when it's going to go off again.
So true. It's so true. You don't know with that. And that's why, for me, I'm actually going to go with the properly rated. I think that everyone knows the damage that can come with a CM Punk, but obviously he can bring eyeballs to a product. He certainly would improve ratings to a point. But is he worth the trouble? I'm not so sure. Like you said, if he was let go, I'm sure the locker room would feel a bit more relief. Of course, that's an opinion related from stuff that we read online. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see because Collision, yes, will be at the United Center on the debut show. We had to wait an extra week to find out. I'm guessing that means that those backstage interviews or backstage, whatever it is, meetings went very, very positively to get CM Punk back in the fold. We'll have to wait and see on June the 17th. But we'll quickly go to a couple of comments and we'll go into our first match then on the stream. Eric Fry is saying ticket sales are properly rated. That's good to see. And also, who's CM Punk? I've not heard of him in a while. No, nobody more overrated than Punk. You've heard it from Ed Fry. So without further ado then, we're going to get straight into the matches. And as I said at the start, there is actually no graphic for this match coming off of AEW this past week, which makes me think it's either announced on Rampage this or it's going to be a simple case of where it's going to go on the buy-in. But I've seen it via Wikipedia. So thank you, Wikipedia, for this information. The six-man tag of the Hardy Party versus the Firm. So we've got Matt and Jeff and Isiah Cassidy going against Ethan Page and, of course, the Gun Club. Of course, they were part of the Firm for a while. Then they disappeared, played a bit of 50 Cent. Now they're back with the Firm. And it seems to be now that if Ethan Page loses this time, the Hardys and the Hardy Party get control of Ethan Page's contract. So I must admit, I have not seen much of this at all since the return of Jeff Hardy. But if there is much detail to give, Max, what's your thoughts?
This is garbage. It's rubbish. Doesn't belong on pay-per-view. I think we know by now Tony Khan has a thing of getting as many people onto pay-per-views just because AEW's pay-per-views are few and far between. But I'm sorry, this doesn't cut it. It doesn't make it. Like, we're gonna stick the likes of Ricky Starks and a whole former IWGP champion in Jay White into a battle royal when they could have a singles match that means more than this, because ultimately these guys had a the Hardy compound match on Rampage a couple of weeks ago, which ultimately should have been the blow off. So why are we still here? And why is Matt Hardy still trying to control people's contracts? He controlled Andrade's, Andrade controlled his, Ethan Page controlled his. Like, what is this? Does he work in HR or what? Like, just leave the whole contract stick alone. I have no interest in this. I will say maybe the Hardys win just to put the final nail in the coffin of the Firm. Jeff Hardy can maybe finish it with a swanton bomb, get a huge pop, but I'm not invested in this. Like you, I struggle to kind of see are they actually having this match or not? Because I never saw it announced on the show last night, and I haven't seen it announced in certain places. And I was crossing my fingers, praying, dear God, I hope they've taken this off the card. But yeah, I'll go with Hardy Party to get the win here.
All I can add to that is that if Collision does get their own GM, maybe Matt Hardy's trying to collect himself a few people to be the GM himself. But I'm with you. Look, I'm a big fan of a lot of the talent involved, particularly Ethan Page. I'm actually disappointed what's going on with the Firm. I do think that the whole group to begin with was a bit thrown together. Got some great talent. Stokely Hathaway, by the way, is a fantastic mouthpiece as well. But it's all kind of gone a bit downhill very early doors. And this storyline, I can't say I followed it so greatly, unfortunately. GG, if you're watching, I'm very sorry. I have fallen out of watching Rampage. It's just not happened for me of late. So I've not really followed this storyline. But yeah, I'm going with you. Hardy Party to pick up the win. It seems natural that Ethan Page will end up under there. And we'll see how it follows. And maybe, just maybe, it'll end up on Collision at some point in the near future. But yeah, we've got Ed Fries here saying, for the love of God, put over Ethan Page. He is so talented. He is so talented. I really enjoyed his work in Impact. I have enjoyed some of his work as well in AEW. I particularly enjoyed his team with Scorpio Sky. Actually, I thought that was one of his strongest points.
It did. What were they called again? Men of the Hour? What are they called?
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Something like that anyway, with the other guy that was shouting all the time. But yeah, I think Ethan Page Ethan Page might be someone that really benefits from Collision if they go ahead and do this like brand split, and then he can just leave his Firm stuff and just go off on his own and really kind of bring himself back to light somewhat. Yeah, Collision could be good for him.
Absolutely, indeed. They have a clarification, by the way. Men of the Year was the tag team
That's
name.
it.
So thank
Yeah.
you very much, Ed, there. And I believe it was Dan Lambert that was the mouthpiece for them
Dan
at
Lambert,
the
yeah.
time. Absolutely. Can't say I miss him too much, though. Two Sweet Carl says, nothing the Hardys have done in AEW has been interesting to me. I think that's a fair comment to say, really. I feel the same. I just, it's not gone the way that I thought it would have gone. But hey, we've covered that one. We've both gone for the Hardys, and we'll move on to what we know definitively is the other matches on the show. But you mentioned about Ricky Starks and Jay White not getting a spotlight in a singles match. Instead, they're more likely going to be involved in the AEW International Championship Blackjack Battle Royale, which, of course, I have to ask very early because I have some unconfirmed sources, Mech, and I need to know the truth of this. Because Orange Cassidy, of course, said that he was going to throw it like an open challenge. Anyone wants to wrestle him, they can do. 20 wrestlers went to Tony Khan to get this opportunity. Unconfirmed sources told me, Mex, that you were one of the people that got in touch with Tony Khan. Is this true or not?
Yeah, Tony Khan took my phone call, but I didn't pass the credentials to be in a match of such prestige for the international championship. So instead, I'm gonna watch it from home. But yeah, the Orange Cassidy and this reign in general has been brilliant. They've kind of even trusted him so much so with the opening slot of Dynamite every week, and he's literally put on a banger. We got a banger last night with him and Carl Fletcher. Listen, this is a very rough way to go out, and they've been telling the story that he's injured, his body's breaking down on him, he's given everything, sort of thing. For them to put him in a battle royal and someone's just going to toss him over the top rope and they're just probably going to hand the belt to somebody else, it's hard to stomach because he's done so well, and especially being a baby face, it should be like a big bad heel comes along and beats him in a singles match and takes all the heat, and that's it. Orange Cassidy's laying on the canvas, and beaten dead basically because he's given his all. To kind of do this in a battle royal, unless he retains, and then it's like, well, where do we go from here? Because he's beaten everybody literally. So it's a funny one. It's a bit of a catch-22. For the safety of it being a battle royal, I would say Orange Cassidy retains, but I feel more likely they're just using this as an opportunity to take the belt off him without him being pinned, keeping him quote unquote strong. And if I'm to say someone in the field that could possibly be a winner here, I think it would literally go to a Miro or a Andrade Alidolo that could be the new champion after this match.
I think you've netted a lot of points on the head very quickly there. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, Orange Cassidy, what a reign he's had as international champion. Obviously, if you're guaranteed a good match every week, usually kicking off Dynamite most weeks as well these days. You mentioned one with Carl Fletcher there. He's had many, and I like the story it's progressed as well because each match he's gone through, they said almost that Orange is getting that slightly more desperate each and every time. It's becoming not as easy to be how Orange Cassidy has been previously. It's almost to the point that he has to be a bit more urgent in his repertoire, which obviously urgent's not normally in the repertoire of Orange Cassidy. I've got to say, by the way, I've never noticed this before, but the sort of puffy pyro, the one bit that goes off here and there, I only noticed that in the last couple of weeks, and I think that's absolutely genius.
That makes me laugh every week. Every time I see it, it makes me laugh. Like, yeah, it's like a little piece of like a pathetic pyro. Like, it's almost like that. If you remember when they done the exploding death match, that didn't explode. Like, it's just like a little pathetic firework that kind of goes up and just down straight away. Yeah, it's great.
If only they could have booked that on the fly with Orange Cassidy just being in the back and just going like, it went to Revolution a couple of years ago. That would have been amazing. But of course, no one can foresee what would have happened there. But like you said there, it could be a place here where Orange Cassidy almost becomes like the Wesley of AEW because of the fact that no matter how many odds are stacked against him, he finds a way to retain. But this, for me, feels like he's close to burnout. And it feels like it's almost a culmination of a story. You mentioned the two names there that were screaming in my mind was Miro, Andrade, and Lidolo, because both of them have been away from AEW TV for such a long time. This almost with Collision coming in is the perfect placement to bring in that sort of star, to win the championship and almost dominate on that side of the bracket. If there's going to be a hard brand split, we're not sure at this point what the plans are, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think Miro is going to be the one. It just feels like the right fit for me because, the Redeemer needs to do some redeeming for me, and I've missed my Miro promos backstage and dominating wrestlers in the ring.
Yeah, I think Miro would be a definite great shout. They've already kind of labeled him as one of the headliners for this new show in Collision. Um, yeah, I kind of wanted Miro to win the TNT title. I know it's a title he had before, but it's a title that, as far as I'm concerned, he was the last great TNT champion. So I would have loved to kind of seen him bring that back to prominence, that particular title. But yeah, if there's anyone that's gonna believably beat Orange Cassidy in the current state Orange Cassidy is in, literally, like you said, escaping matches and doing what he can to hold on to that title, it's gonna be Miro. Like, just literally, and I would even make a song and dance about it. If Miro's in there early doors, Orange Cassidy's in the Battle Royal early doors, dump him out first. Dump Orange Cassidy out first, and it's like, I'm here to, there's got to be a new champion tonight. Now we all know that. Now I've set pace. I've got the champion out, and then we go from there. And Miro can almost have like a Royal Rumble Iron Man esque kind of spot, kind of going through the whole Battle Royal, eliminating the whole field, sort of thing.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that would make a real statement as well if Cassidy was the first one eliminated. Like you said, and there's 20 other people. It's like, oh my god, like we actually, even if the whole field just looked at Cassidy and went, right, okay, we're getting your slow pace guy, butt out of this ring, nice early doors. Like, even if it's Miro that did it early on as well, like you said, the winner dominates then the whole battle. I think that would be a very tasteful way to do it, and obviously a very strong statement from the off. I have to ask though, we give sort of predictions there for us, but we mentioned earlier on the idea of Ricky Starks being this. Powerhouse Hobbs has been announced for this match. I didn't see Jay White's name announced, but I'm guessing this is where he's going to be. Is it a bit of a, I don't want to say disrespectful because it's a championship match. Cassidy's done some fantastic work, but surely Jay White should be in a more prominent role on this show if he's going to be.
Yeah, I saw Jay White on one of the graphics. I think they've released since last night. So that's what makes me think, well, he's on the graphic. He's going to be in this match. Yeah, this isn't where Jay White should be. Jay White, I think he's almost kind of suffered from the first stint of last year around Forbidden Door when he first kind of reared his head in AEW. And if we remember, when he came into AEW last year, he was IWGP champion. He was in a championship match at Forbidden Door. Now he's come back. Yes, he's not the champion anymore, but we're not even treating him of the reverence of this guy's a big deal. Let's compare it with Adam Cole. Adam Cole was returned from injury, and it's like, we know every time Adam Cole is on screen, he is a big deal. This is someone that, basically does Tony Khan's announcements for him. Like, he is heralded in high regard. And for those that have watched a lot of Jay White as well, you'll know Jay White's one of his key assets that makes him Jay White is his promo ability. We haven't seen Jay White with a mic in hand in the ring going against Ricky Starks, who's also an amazing promo. Like, why? Like, why haven't we got that from those two guys? And the story that they're telling, I don't want to disrespect Juice, but it's just like, it's not something that Jay White should have come into. Yes, he doesn't necessarily need to come straight into the main event and straight into the title picture, but there's a way to still make someone feel like a big deal. Because hate it or love it, Jay White is going to be in the main event, but before the end of this year, he's going to be in and around there. So they've just brought him in incredibly slowly, almost not counting anything that he's done in Japan or anything before. Almost like how WWE bring in guys and we're always saying that, oh, but this guy was a champion over there, and that AEW haven't really done this before, but they're showing it on this occasion, which is, it's a shame because Jay White's got a lot more to offer than what he's being given right now.
I 100% agree with you. I think, like you said there, he will eventually get there. But like you said, the promo battles, where's that gone? I mean, obviously, Ricky Starks was pretty good this past week on Dynamite with his backstage stuff. But like you say, live mic in the ring, them two going back and forth would have been beautiful to see. But it'd be interesting to see what goes on with Bullet Club Gold. The last question I have for you, because obviously this will be, I think, all of our first experiences of a Blackjack Battle Royal. Do we expect it's just rebranded from the Casino Battle Royal, or do we see this actually 21 guys in the ring this time from the start?
That's a good point. Maybe it's like a 20 and then one will be a Joker. Knowing AEW, they seem to like this Joker thing. So whoever that may be, could be someone currently on the roster, could be, a surprise free agent or something like that. I still expect there to be a Joker element, but maybe all 20 guys start in the ring rather than they bring out what was it before, like cards, like
cards, suits and stuff,
and and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine if the Joker was Danhausen.
I can't lie, that would be underwhelming. But to be
It
fair,
would be.
it would fit kind of because obviously Danhausen, he's been on screen with OC for quite a bit last year as well. So it
Yeah.
would make some sense. But yeah, I wouldn't be happy to see that.
No, I just go with the Joker element, but yeah, obviously, yeah, we
Mm.
prefer it would be actually a big name coming in. But we're going to the chat anyway. Ed Fry says Orange Cassidy wins or debut wins from the Joker spot. Do we think there'll be a debut at this show? Can we see someone new coming in?
A debut.
We're used to
I
getting them on Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I think more so a return, and I'm not sure from who, but I think we're probably more to see returns. I think as well, the tickets for what's the show? Collision comes out tomorrow, Friday, right? I think if the tickets aren't going very well, the ticket sales aren't going very well for the debut of Collision, they will probably bring out CM Punk at Double or Nothing and let
Interesting.
say, oh yeah, I'm back 17th of June, and then ticket sales will fly through the sky. I think if ticket sales are going well come the end of Friday in the US, they probably won't announce him and just, do what they've done with Rampage, give us enough of a hint to let us know Punk will be there, sort of thing. But yeah, it's kind of like if things aren't going well, break glass in case of emergency, CM Punk comes out.
There you go. There we go. And it could be overrated, depending on some of the comments we've had today as well. But we'll have to wait and see how it will go. Richard in the house, Richard Robes here, giving a few predictions. He says spoiler every time it's predictions. Blackpool Combat Club to beat the Elite. He's also gone with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Liverpool to defeat FTR. And also saying that Taya versus Jade Cargill to be interrupted by Maria Kanellis Bennett. All have possibilities. I guess they're all in the company. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they work out for you, Richard. And also Ed Fry is saying, I'm guessing it's the rebranded Casino Battle Royale. I'm assuming it could be the case. We'll have to wait and see how it will be. But we've given our takes there on it. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it comes showtime. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about another match. In fact, this time we're going to talk about the TNT Championship in a ladder match. We've got Wardlow, the champion, going against the veteran of the ladder match, Christian Cage. And as you can see in the graphic, Luchasaurus is there as well. But of course, Wardlow, let's be honest here, obviously he's got some experience when it comes to ladder matches. He was the face of the Revolution a couple of years ago. This guy has been in, knows what it's all about. So maybe this isn't as one-sided as one believes. But first question I'll ask, Wardlow's relationship with Arn Anderson, how are you finding it?
It's a bit forced. It's a bit like funny enough, they've done the whole Pinnacle thing in the past, and Arn Anderson wasn't with them, but they were very much a four horseman type faction.
Yeah.
So now it's just like you've missed the boat with where Arn Anderson could have really fit in with Wardlow. It's weird to me. They're using Arn Anderson to basically repair Wardlow and get him over, it feels like. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that's what they're looking to do. My problem with it is I'm not sure it's connecting as of yet. But the one thing I will say that I'm gonna try to be positive about this match because I think there's an easy element of going that I'm like you. The TNT Championship has been a mess for a very long time. I think Hobbs was done dirty. I think Wardlow's last reign was done dirty. Just the whole thing. It could have been spread out, could have time to breathe. Stories could have been better on the builds. I even think this one could have had more time to build and could have been done better. I do think that Christian Cage is a menace on the mic, and I do think that his work here could be something the TNT Championship just might need.
Yes.
Because let's be honest here. I mean, there's so many great stars. We mentioned the night, by the way, Jay White not being involved in the main event scene. Perhaps that could be what puts prestige on this championship. In the meantime, a Ricky Starks could be going for this. Roderick Strong is someone that looking to build up, it seems, as well. Did a great job with the North American Championship in NXT. So there are some superstars there, or wrestlers, pro wrestlers, we're on AEW stream, so that would be suitable for this championship. But for me, Christian Cage is a suitable person to go for it because I think the mic work can build a story pretty well with future challengers if he was to win it. I think the ladder match, although predictable, the stipulation, it works. It's just going to be interesting how they're going to play this match out because Wardlow will either overcome the odds or this championship is going to do a hot potato once again, but hopefully it's going to go to a placement where it can have a bit more desire and meaning going forward. Because for me, Wardlow's had 3 runs at this TNT Championship, and I'm going to be honest, none of them are connecting. Wardlow, for me, has not connected the same since the breakup with MJF.
I'm not sure if I have anything else to say. You've said it. You've said it all, Steve. And it's disappointing. Like you said, I feel bad for Wardlow. I feel bad for Powerhouse Hobbs. Like I don't know what went wrong with the TNT title. What, like, how did they get a title that was, you know, so high up on the totem pole after the World Championship to where it is now? It's hot potato central, and it's almost like we don't want it to be hot potato again here, but we can see who Wardlow's in the ring against, and Christian is excellent. Like, there's no two ways about it. Christian is excellent. So, like you said, this is just what the title may need. I'm going to back Wardlow with my prediction. I'm going to say Wardlow to retain, just because I feel if he loses it again, like we just have to throw Wardlow in the bin at this point, and you know, to be honest, send him on his way. Let him eventually then come back to AEW as a, you know, rebranded almost, because I don't know. I feel Wardlow's going to lose this title somewhere along the line, and then get into the imminent MJF feud. You know, those two have history for the world title. But if he loses it here at the first opportunity, basically again, it's gonna be dire. It's gonna be very detrimental to Wardlow, I fear. So I'll back Wardlow, even though, to be honest, I'd rather Christian be the champion and, you know, give this championship something. But I'll back Wardlow just because they don't dare do this again to him.
I actually agree with everything you say to a point. Like, Wardlow needs this. Like, it's not a case of wanting; he needs this win. And I mean, I don't know what they can do for me at the moment, because Wardlow is incredible in ring. I really appreciate his work as a talent. I think the guy can be a good promo from time to time as well when the material connects. I really enjoyed his program with Samoa Joe when he was talking about his father. That storyline really hooked me. But since then, it's just gone back to, I don't know if it's this thing of like, people on some weeks, they're not on other weeks, and they go missing. Then they think, oh, we've got the pay-per-view coming up. Let's now throw an instant program and throw it together over 3 or 4 weeks. And then we've got ourselves this program for the TNT Championship. Maybe this is another case. Wardlow needs Collision, and therefore it's going to help give him a weekly spot on TV, something to work upon. But if he was to lose this, for me, I would like to see him turn heel. I know that probably would seem like a bit lazy booking, but I think that would be a way of trying to get him back on track, because, I mean, obviously, Arn Anderson could be a bit of a menace as well. Back in the day, we know what Arn Anderson was like. So for me, I think that could then work much better as the pairing. But for me, I am going to go opposite to you. I'm going to say Christian Cage to win this, because Luchasaurus is there. And I feel that although Wardlow is probably capable of taking both of these out, Christian is the veteran. They've really heavily pointed that out. And as the fact is that Wardlow's kind of counteracted the argument that he's been facing the Revolution, I feel like, well, you've played all double or nothing. We've played all our cards on the table. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit like, well, you've not kept that hidden up your sleeve for us to forget about to the show, and then you go and win. So I'm going to go for Christian Cage to actually win this championship, and I think hopefully, and no disrespects to anyone that's held that championship, I blame the booking, but I think Christian Cage will actually bring some credibility to the TNT Championship, and also he'll keep his promise by winning a championship before Jungle Boy.
Yeah, and like I say, I hope you're right. I mean, as much as I'm predicting Wardlow to retain, just for the sake of getting a prediction right, I deep down I want Christian to win here. Yeah. But yeah, the damage it does to Wardlow, if that is the case, if that comes true, I don't know. Even with the whole Collision thing that you just mentioned, it seems again Powerhouse Hobbs was the one that, I mean, we kind of compare them. They're one in the same, aren't they? Powerhouse Hobbs was the one that was kind of said he's one of the headliners for Collision, not Wardlow. So it makes you think, okay, if Hobbs is going over there, maybe Wardlow stays on Dynamite. And yeah, Dynamite is already its own animal with the Elite running the show. And yeah, I don't know where Wardlow will get his chance to shine if that's the case. And it will be harder for him if he loses this title, you know, on Sunday night.
Absolutely. I wonder, I mean, this is just an idea I'm now throwing out there as a speculation station, so pinch of salt, everybody. But, I mean, there is 21 people in that Battle Royale. Imagine if Wardlow was to lose this match earlier in the evening. I imagine this would be the opener, by the way. Imagine if he was to lose, sort of take one of the other 20 competitors out and actually field in on the Battle Royale would probably be a way to rescue him later in the evening with the International Championship. But, hey, I think I'm probably digging very deeply, hoping out for something that wouldn't happen.
I mean, with your prediction, with your fantasy booking there, does he win the battle royal? Because if he doesn't, that would be even worse.
Yeah, no, we have to win it. I'm not here. I'm not going to do a Vince Russo. I'm not going to bury Wardlow in one night. You know, he's lost one, so I'll give him a chance for no. He's not winning it. He's not having it. You know, I might even just sniff him near the main event and just have MJF rip him on the mic as well while I'm at it. No, I think if Wardlow was to do it, he'd have to come in and win it, obviously. But that would depending on. We don't know all those 20 people in the battle royal.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a case of like, you know, who would fill the spots. But I think Wardlow does one match, and unfortunately, for me, I think he loses it. But I hope for your prediction is right, and I hope for his sakes that he does get through it. But time will tell. It's certainly an interesting one. I think the one thing about this match is that even though the build has not been, I think the build's been okay. But I think actually it could be more interesting than leads on when actually we see the match play out. But we'll go into the chat anyway. Ed Fry says, War Daddy needs to keep winning. But God, how did we get here with Wardlow? He was on top of the world and they're trying to reset and get back. It's very difficult on how they've done it. It felt so simple when he broke away from MJF. And it sounds terrible to say, but I think the TNT Championship is the reason.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the reasons. I when obviously he broke away from MJF, that was that whole palaver with MJF walking out and all of that kind of stuff, which didn't help Wardlow for someone else new stepping out on their own as well. They had done all the good work in telling that story, and just right there, that final hurdle, drama came into play, and that never helped. And it's almost from there he's never really recovered. I think he, you know, from reports and stuff that was out there at the time, it's almost like he felt a bit let down by MJF because they had told this great story, and this was gonna be Wardlow's big kind of coming out party, and yeah, it was. In the end, MJF came and done what he needed to do, but the whole weekend was covered with that whole news of MJF didn't come to the what was it, like a signing or something, and yeah, it's like, well, he done the job, he went off, he wasn't really around to tell the story after losing, and then Wardlow went off and done his own thing as well. So he's been very, very unfortunate. I used to say that AEW have a thing where they don't know how to book big men. I'm still sticking with it. Like since their inception, we've had guys, you know, the big men get an opportunity, the Brian Cages, the Lance Archers, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs. None of them have done anything of real note. Yes, there's been some championship wins between these guys, but you know, they're still not anywhere near on the card that you would think people of this physical stature, the level of violence they inflict on their opponents, why aren't they world champions? Like, why aren't they even over, let alone to be world champions? Like, they just don't know how to book them, and the problem has persisted for what, 4 years now.
Yeah, bang on the money with all of that from the start to now. And even when you look at that, it's a big bill, can't even get on TV either. And he's part of the firm. And even as a member of the firm, he sort of seems important enough to be on this show. So it does show that there's a problem with the big men. TBJ Music, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. It says, hi, everyone. Yeah, they dropped the ball on Wardlow last summer. The rivalry between him and MJF meant nothing, really. Hope he recovers soon, though. Yeah, I think that's what we all hope. Hope the recovery will start. And maybe a win is just what he needs here. But we'll have to wait and see how it will play out. But we'll go and move on in the meantime to what will be our match 4. And that will be for another championship, the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Taya Valkyrie. Obviously, now the Valhalla, the Road to Valhalla, is able to be used this time. So both of them have the same finishing move. They can be used in this match. And I feel like I'm talking like an Undertaker streak here. Is Taya the one in 61?
You know what? I predicted that it's going to be her. However, again, I'm very, very disappointed with this. Is one where the championship reign has got to, that we're almost like gagging for someone to beat Jade at this point, and two, that the person that probably it could be in Taya Valkyrie, they haven't really made a big deal about this match and her going to dethrone Jade. You know, this whole thing of fighting over the finish is a bit lame in my opinion. We saw Taya Valkyrie have a match with Lady Frost on Dynamite last night, and I was just thinking, what does Lady Frost have to do with this? Like, this is a good opportunity to have a in-ring segment, contract signing, a face-to-face, a pull-apart brawl between Jade and Taya. Even let Taya Valkyrie beat up Layla Gray. Like that should have been the match, if anything. Like, you've just got Lady Frost involved in something. That's for what reason? Like, I'm just thinking, yeah, if this is where Jade is going to lose her title, it's literally been, you know, a whimper. She's going out on a whimper sort of thing. It's not great. And where does Jade go from here? Because she's, you know, people say, oh yeah, she should go after the world title, the women's world title. She's not ready for it, especially not where the bar has been raised with Jamie Hayter and her performances. And Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm are going to tear the house down again on Sunday night. Jade Cargill can't go after that title. There's other titles in and around the AEW universe, if you like, where she could go. But yeah, I just feel like this TBS title has come to nothing in recent times.
It's a shame, really, isn't it? And I think a lot of that comes down to, I know, like, I mean, Jade can have some killer performances. She's had some great matches. I do feel some matches as well, depending on who she is, there may be a lack of chemistry with sometimes, but Taya Valkyrie, very experienced in the ring. I imagine these two are going to have a great match when it comes to it here at Double or Nothing. But where my criticism comes in, I feel like Jade Cargill, again, I know this rivalry has been going on since March, but it seems to have gone very quiet in the last month, and all of a sudden it's been brought up again. And now we have, like you said, not even a Layla Gray match with Taya building. It feels like more attention was given to Jade Cargill and Bow Wow when they had the rivalry than it does now with the actual TBS Championship. Am I right or am I wrong?
It's literally, yeah, you're right.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And this is why, for me, I'm going to be honest, until I feel the right person is built up to take that championship from Jade, and I feel I'm still holding on when Chris Statlander returns that she will be the one. For me right now, I say Jade is retaining. I just don't see the championship being dropped. They have this undefeated thing like with Jade going on, and like you say, when it's going to be taken away, it needs to feel like a big deal. The only problem is of the pace that AEW goes at of their matches. Like I said, 2 shows may help this again, but Jade wrestles so few and far between that we've had 60 matches of her in about 2.5 years. If it goes like 100 to none, how long are we going to take to get there? Is it going to be like 2026 before she finally loses?
Yeah, I think what's even more detrimental is that this streak doesn't mean anything at this point. Because, you know, we can see Rampage. I was watching Rampage over the weekend. Steve, would you believe me if I tell you she had 3 matches in Rampage back to back jobbers? And that was 58, 59, and 60. That's how she got to 60. And I was literally watching, okay, the first one happened, and then obviously they made some type of gesture like she's not finished, bring down the next one. And my head was in my hands, and I was just thinking, are you lot for real? Like, this is honestly what you lot are doing. Talk about stat padding. You're literally just doing this right in front of us. And I just thought, yeah, this means nothing. She's not even growing as a performer, in my opinion, because she's not facing that level of talent. She had a very good match with Taya Valkyrie, the first one. To win the championship, I think she faced Ruby Soho. That was last year, January. That was a very good match. And look how far and few between I'm picking these matches, and the rest of them have just basically been squash matches. It's like, you know, let's make this streak mean something if we're going to keep it going on. And she's a champion. Let's make that championship mean something. You and, you know, many others, I don't think are wrong. If this is going to mean something, let's wait. And, you know, it's better the devil you know, and keep the championship on her and build up whoever is going to take it off. I just feel like Taya Valkyrie is kind of like and she's a name, hole in one. Let's just do it here. You see what I mean? Like, it's becoming painful for me to keep watching Jade as this champion. Although I want her to be champion, they're not. It's like, it's almost like what we're getting with Roman right now. I want him to be champion, but bro, I need stuff. I need something from you. You see what I mean? You can't just be holding his belt because it becomes a prop. It just becomes a shoulder. So, yeah.
I get exactly what you mean. You know, being a foodie for me, like, you know, it's like going in there and just having a plain sandwich where, like, you know, where's you know, throw a bit of extras in there, you know, a bit of extra meats and a bit of sauce, bit of cheese, bit of I don't know, bit of bacon. Why not just throw all that stuff in there, juice it up a little bit? I know exactly where you're coming from, and it feels like you said right now, it's just a statistic, it's just a number. I think my only word to on the flip side is, once that streak is gone, is gone. And if Jade has got nothing else right now but this streak in this TBS championship, where does she go? Because if she's not going to be treated right going up, it's better to hold still until you've got the right place. And this could be a perfect launching pad to have a good match again and try and get it going once again. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But so to say that you're going to go for Taya Valkyrie is your prediction?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I like it. Jay Cargill was fun. I like that. We got different predictions. That's what makes this fun, keeps it interesting. But the same whole way through, then it would simply be just the same thing, wouldn't it? But let's go to the comments. Ed Fry says Taya should win, but Jade has to keep it to be relevant for me. But that could just be me. Well, it feels like we've had a bit of a discussion over the last few minutes. There, it feels like perhaps Jade does need it for that just at this particular time.
Just on that comment from Ed.
Go for it.
I don't believe Taya should win because I don't believe the story's been good enough yet to do it. I think they're gonna do it, and that's why I said Taya will probably win. But I don't believe they've told a good enough story, neither that Taya should win. Taya, at this point in her career, in my opinion, should be just used almost like how they were using Serena Deeb. Come in, have some good matches, let these women learn from more experienced pros. Not to say that, just because they're getting on in their career, they can't be champions, but yeah, I just don't think that's why they didn't sign Taya Valkyrie to necessarily become a champion in AEW, in my opinion.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I mean, obviously for me, I've gone with Jade to retain. So obviously I've gone for the same in the meantime because Taya doesn't go for the mid card title all the way to the main title. So she would have to do some rebuilding. She'd probably have to. I mean, this is the thing. I actually see similarities with this feud to the Athena feud this time last year. And you look at Athena now doing incredible work in Ring of Honor, but she had to go to Ring of Honor to go and do it. So it's like, I would like to see that Athena actually on AEW TV. I think right now she's absolutely brilliant. I love the theme song as well. I think it's absolutely banger as well. I love it. Tishmi Carl says AEW's found a way to ruin Jade Cargill for me. A damn shame. And also goes on to say some great points about her not growing during this reign. So it feels like does seem to be a bit of continuity. People feel the same with Jade at the moment. Hopefully that will turn around. But we're going to change things up in the meantime, and we're going to change to a different division. Another championship match. It's the Tag Team Championships. We've got FTR defending against Jay Lethal and Double J, Jeff Jarrett, with Mark Briscoe as the special guest referee. Obviously, FTR, the Briscoes, have gone to war 3 times last year. That shows that they have a connection. Obviously, Mark Briscoe goes way back with Jay Lethal with the Ring of Honor days. It seems that Lethal, Jarrett, Dutt, and Satnam Singh, they've gone to the ranch with Mark Briscoe as well. Feels like they're using Mark, though. Let's be honest here, to try and get the tips of how to beat FTR, knowing that the Briscoes had done so before to get this championship run. And obviously, FTR saying not to be blinded by it. Although when Dax was blinded a week or so ago, he did a perfect pile driver to Mark Briscoe. Briscoe didn't take too kindly to that this past week, slapping Dax in the face, and obviously Cash had to hold him back as well, but not showing any favourites as well, kind of pushing everyone aside. Jeff Jarrett selling very, very well that slap there, and also telling Jay Lethal to cut the bullshit out, basically. So yeah, it's been interesting with the Mark Briscoe stuff, but also in ring as well. The back and forward jabs on the mic with Jay Lethal, Jarrett, and FTR. Dax this past week as well, saying about the TNA rejects, maybe to looking maybe to go to Dixie Carter for a job after this. I thought was quite an interesting dig. But of course, the Heels, they've got their own back as well. The guitars have been used, and it was only a matter of time before Jeff Jarrett would bring in Cameron. What have been your thoughts of the build?
Yeah, I think it's been decent. It's been, it's been good fun. I really enjoyed that segment that they done on the farm with Mark Briscoe. I thought Jay Lethal and them lot were brilliant at that in that segment. Look, FTR have recently just become champions again. They've recently re-signed with AEW, and they said that this was their last contract before they retire from wrestling. So, I feel they're going to hold the titles. My prediction is FTR. I feel that we're going to be getting the next. Maybe not to say they're going to hold the title for the next 4 years of their contract, but I feel like we're getting this the swan song. This is almost like the goodbye tour sort of thing. So they're going to hold this title, I would assume, and get round to some of the banger of matches that we expect in this division. Another Young Bucks match, maybe a United Empire match. Because they've obviously just signed, and for anyone that saw, I was lucky enough to be at Royal Quest last summer where they had that match given 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. Incredible match with United Empire. However, with all that being said, I'm here for the moment of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal winning. I think Jeff Jarrett's been brilliant since they brought him in. Like I thought, quick feud when he returned, then he'll go do his backstage job. He's been so good. I don't even know if he's still doing his backstage job because he's been on TV every single week. I'm here for the moment of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal winning. Just that moment, because I'm not really interested right now anyway in what them as tag team champions could be and could look like. But for the sheer kind of they finally done it, because they've had a lot of kind of close run-ins of almost winning this title or cheating to win or thinking they've won. Like, for them to actually win it, that I think that could be fun for the moment. I don't know how I feel on Wednesday next week watching Dynamite and their tag team champions, but yeah, I'll go with FTR for the win here.
Twitter will be a fun place if Jarrett and Lethal win. I could say that for sure. I'll be definitely looking at up as a specific topic, if I'm honest, because yeah, like you say, people probably would not be happy with that. But the moment of it could be certainly fun to see the boos going around. But I just hope we won't get the reaction like what the Guns got when they beat the Acclaimed. That would be my only hope that they wouldn't get. But I do think this would be. I think this would be different because people generally don't want to see Jeff Jarrett win those titles. But I think that, like you said, that's part of the fun of this. But to go into predictions, like you said, there, FTR. I can't see past it. Like you said, they've signed a contract. They're just won the tag team championships. It just feels like this is the first proper defense as well. Mark Briscoe will obviously realize that he's being used by the heels as well going into this. So there could be a case of where I don't see he doesn't actually turn on anybody, but I can see the case that Mark Briscoe will probably be let's say pushed around a bit by Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal in the end, and I think he'll have had enough, and that will lead into what the I'll call it the Shat Machine because I can't remember what the AEW they call it, but yeah, at the same time, FTR I think will pick up the W. And you mentioned some great matches there. I can't wait for the Aussie Open match, like you say, that will be amazing. I've not seen the first one from Royal Quest. I know it was put around online. I've not had a chance to watch it, but I know it's meant to be incredible. And I want to see FTR versus the Acclaimed as well. I know that that's face versus face, but certainly is something I would definitely be up for seeing in the near future. But is there anything you'd like to add before we go to the comments?
You're saying Shatter Machine. They call it the Big Rig in honor of Brody Lee.
Thank you. That's good for clarity there. I'll try to remember that better going forward. But yeah, Ed Fry says, how the hell was Jeff Jarrett still relevant? But anything that gets Jay Lethal on my TV. So there we go. You got to get it to get Jay Lethal at the moment. But yeah, FTR wins in Ed Fry's opinion. If anyone else, because we've got quite a few people watching at the moment, you feel free to get involved if you want to in the comments with your predictions as well. Happy to bring them on screen. But in the meantime, we'll move on to the next match. And this match is a little bit different to the rest of them, mainly because it's unsanctioned. That's right. We got Adam Cole, baby, taking on Chris Jericho. It's the battle with the babies, actually, when you think about it. And of course, we've got the special enforcer out of nowhere, Las Vegas' own Sabu, the ECW original. Before we even talk about anything to do with the actual match, let's talk a little bit about Sabu. What's he doing here?
That is the question of the day, isn't it? Listen, Sabu was an absolute legend. Obviously, one of the pioneers of the hardcore style of these non-disqualification matches or unsanctioned matches. But when he came out, when obviously Adam Cole was saying the genocidal, suicidal, all of that stuff, I said, Sabu, really? And then his music hit, and I was like, okay, Sabu. But I thought, what? He's gonna be in his corner? Like, what's the relation? Like we're at the last hurdle of this story. Obviously, the match is on Sunday. Why have they inserted him here at this point? And then almost in words in the promo, they said that he was gonna have Adam Cole's corner, but now he's the special enforcer. He's like, and they, special enforcer in wrestling is almost like a second referee.
Yeah.
So does that mean he's calling it down the middle? Like, I get it. He's from Las Vegas. They're in Las Vegas. They're using him and all of that kind of stuff. It's very out of nowhere. Like, apart from the only relation is that Sabu and an unsanctioned match. And, they're saying Chris Jericho knows him, but Chris Jericho was in ECW for, a cup of tea. He wasn't there for long. Yeah. So, yeah, to me, it was completely random. It hasn't added to the match for me. It hasn't taken away anything. It's just like, didn't really need it, but here we are, Sabu.
Do we think we'll see like what was it called, like a triple jump moonsault or something from Sabu?
Yeah. That guy, I mean, I would imagine his body is broken down and finished right now. So I'll be surprised if we get anything more than him throwing chairs or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. There must be something planned for him to, for them to call on him of all people. And he's how can I politely say this? He's a lunatic. Like that is what he is. So it's going to be interesting. Did it need it? No, but let's see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it'll play out. But yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of Sabu back in the ECW days, and probably going through the sort of WWE days when he was used more 2006 time and stuff. And
Yeah.
he has had a run in TNA, but like you said, that body's got to be broken down at this point. But hey, look, we'll have to wait and see how it'll be. But Ed says Sabu's an attention grab, right? Why else would you do this? Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I guess he's basically going to keep the rest of the JS out of the match, but we'll wait and see. Perhaps there'll be some more inclusions in the match. There's one I will speculate in a couple of moments' time. But let's quickly go through the actual build itself of this match. Obviously, Adam Cole returning to the ring. His first match with Daniel Garcia. Our first hint that was going to be Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho. Jericho walking away, kind of not acknowledging Adam Cole when he took Daniel Garcia away. Then was the match with Keith Lee and Jericho, where the same thing happened, mutual respect for Keith Lee and Adam Cole. And that's when Adam Cole took Keith Lee away after the match, not acknowledging Chris Jericho. And then led to the beatdown of Britt Baker, of course, where Adam Cole was tied to the ring rope. And of course, we saw the social outcast doing it, with Jericho going in again when the candlestick was there. And pretty much the story since then has been kind of Adam Cole basically wanted to get revenge for that. And obviously for Jericho, it's kind of like, well, what kind of guy would let his girlfriend get beaten up like that? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's your fault. We've seen Roddy Strong come into the mix. We had a great Falls Count Anyway match as well with Roddy Strong, Chris Jericho. Really enjoyed that. I thought that was classic wrestling match we see back in the old days. And I love the way that the baby faces were clever about this, rather than always being seen as the dummies. Adam Cole waiting outside the building. I thought that was really cleverly done as well. And the contract signing this past week, yes, take Sabu aside of it. I thought actually the performances of both of the guys was really good. I think it's gonna be hard for Adam Cole to keep the promises of breaking legs and breaking hands and stuff, but at the same time, the message, the delivery still was really, really good. And Chris Jericho, like I say, on another level on the mic as well. For me, I do think that this actually ticked a lot of boxes. It's been one of my favorite builds actually coming into this show.
Yeah, they've done a really good job with this, and it's two complete masters at their craft with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. Now, the usual criticism with Chris Jericho is that you never really get away from Chris Jericho, and this feud may go on for another 3 months. Hopefully not. But in terms of selling us this match, it's been brilliant. It really has. Adam Cole seems like he's really getting back into being the old Adam Cole from Ring of Honor, and just talking with a passion and really selling matches. Really being able to look forward to these matches. It's just to really see if he can, not to say he's lost it, but he's been out the ring for a long time. He had that match with Daniel Garcia, but few and far between since then. You talked about the match we got last week, what is it, Full Cut Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? They were wrestling all the way outside the arena and stuff, and I was thinking, oh, this is a bit crap for the live crowd and stuff, but on TV, so whatever. I never thought at all that they're going outside and Adam Cole would be waiting outside. So I'm big when Adam Cole was just there, like stoic when they came outside, and obviously he did what he did to help Roderick Strong get the victory. It's been really, really good. And my only question is, obviously they've got an unsanctioned match on the card with Anarchy in the arena. Makes me think that this is not gonna be too crazy of a match. Because obviously Anarchy in the arena, like Moxley told us on Dynamite, is basically going to be a blood. You guys like, so we'll see how unsanctioned and how crazy things get in this match. I think Adam Cole wins. If Chris Jericho wins, it means we're going to keep going, basically. But yeah, I like to think Adam Cole gets the win here.
I think with Forbidden Door coming up, obviously that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, they probably, like you said, they probably do they have the ability to keep some feuds going, because they probably do a special show, which we'll probably talk about in a couple of matches time, probably in the build between now and Forbidden Door. But obviously, Collision's coming as well. But I just feel, for me, that this feels like it would be an end zone. And I think another way to even up them was just a little bit. What if Kyle O'Reilly was to return on this show?
Well, here's me, the big dummy, when Adam Cole saying, "Oh yeah, I've got backup too." I thought Kyle O'Reilly was coming. I thought Bobby Fish was coming. I said, "Oh yeah, we're getting the band back together." And then Sabu walks out and all of that stuff, and I was like, But it's still a possibility. Kyle O'Reilly's been rehabbing now for a very long time, so they could still get the band back together. Bobby Fish, I know he said some things about AEW on his way out, but they could sweep that under the carpet and do business. We can see.
he actually did make a comment on the Young Bucks' Instagram post in the last 24 hours. He continually, I might, well, the reference is pretty much like head coming out of trousers, pretty much every time. It's actually been repeated on a couple of Instagram posts. So I don't know, but yeah. I've got nothing more to say with Bobby Fish. I think he's burnt his bridges with a
Maybe
lot
not
at the
then,
moment.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see him coming in anytime soon, sadly. But I'm going to go with you. I think Adam Cole is going to pick up the victory here. They'll find a way. The numbers are not in his favor, but if Sabu and someone else can try and keep the JS away from this, then we can move on after this. And Jericho will want to take on someone from New Japan for sure, and obviously Adam Cole will want to do the same. So I imagine that they will try and do something that'll be quite good and quite fun with this. So yeah, I expect this to probably end here as well. I think Adam Cole does get the revenge, but we'll go into the comments in the meantime. Two Sweet Carl says that Adam Cole is next for MJF. In my opinion, he needs this win. Yeah, I mean, do you think that Adam Cole, in fact, on the mark, I've actually asked this here, do you think that Adam Cole actually wins the world title at any point this year?
This year, I guess, is the caveat for me. In my opinion, Adam Cole's the person that's beaten MJF for the title. I just don't know when it's going to happen. And obviously, MJF again on the show last night, he brought up the 2024 thing. His contract ends in 2024, which he hasn't mentioned for quite a while. Now, from all reports and stuff, it no longer ends in 2024. He got more money. That money he was chasing, he got it, and that obviously came with a contract length extension as well. But maybe in kayfabe, they're still telling us it's this 2024 thing. But for sure, I think Adam Cole is the guy that beats MJF. What I would like to see, and maybe it's going a bit of a tangent with MJF, I feel, especially if he keeps bringing up this 2024 thing, there has to be a point in the next 2 to 3 months where the company is worried that this guy's going to leave with the world championship. And maybe even like we see almost like a summit backstage of someone rallying the rest of the boys like, listen, we need to find a way between us lot that we take this championship off him. Like, and he can go through Punk will be back. He can beat Punk, and then he can beat Wardlow, and he can beat Kenny Omega. And then by the time he beats Kenny Omega, everyone's looking at themselves like, this is becoming a serious matter. Like, he's beaten, some of the best now. Like, he's gonna leave with his championship. And that's when you introduce Adam Cole, which for me, you can see he is highly, highly favored by Tony Khan. Tony Khan absolutely loves Adam Cole. And that's why I think, Adam Cole, it's the right time to do it. As long as he can obviously stay fit over the next, say, 6 months and, get back to his brilliant best in ring as well. I think Adam Cole for sure is the person to beat MJF. Saying that, with CM Punk coming back, they could do it. They could just try again, basically. We'll give it back to Punk, which I think would be absolutely horrible. But yeah, Adam Cole for me, I definitely think in the next 12 months, let me just extend it by a bit. He's going to beat MJF for that world title, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Adam Cole's the next champion. It's just a matter of when they do it. But just to take off from what you said, a couple of points there. I hope they do the Punk match near the end, just so MJF can do the kiss through the crowd as he's leaving.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
That would be brilliant. But for me, the way I'd want to see it done, and they won't do this because I don't think the days fall right for this, but I would like you said, like this emergency summit, like, where Tony Khan's like, right, we get it done in Winnipeg. We're going to get it. So we get that title off of him. But it's like, it gets to a point where it's like a full gear passes and he's like, we've got no more special events. He's going to defend it on every time. But it's like to the point where he goes, I'm making a show New Year's Eve. We're going to do it on New Year's Eve, and it's the last dot of the night. Before the clock strikes midnight, Adam Cole wins the world title. That's how I'd love to see it done. They won't do it. They will not do it, but that's how I'd love it to happen. But then,
as long as he keeps quoting at 2024, there definitely needs to be some type of urgency on the show that this guy's going to leave with our world title. We need to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. I couldn't agree with you more. Juggernaut in the house as well says, "What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well, Justin. Thank you for checking out the stream." Also, we've got some more comments here, and C Nation Dog in the house as well. C Nation, hope you're doing well. Says if Jade Cargill retains the TBS Championship, they should just rename it to the Jade Cargill Champion if she is over pushed. I wonder what C Nation would say in the overrated or underrated category. But Ed Fries goes on to say that Cole needs and probably will win. Jericho's pretty good at making sure he gets enough until it's time to put talent over. Very good shout there. Jericho has been putting talent over as well as of recent. Seems to find the right moment to do so. Like I say, some feuds go on too long, but we do seem to get the end result right when it comes to the finish. Obviously, the Ricky Starks one being a prime example. Ricky Starks getting that big win at Revolution earlier this year was certainly something that really helped his, well, what I thought would help his career at the time. Obviously, now it's not led into a spot on Double or Nothing outside of a Battle Royal, which I think it should have done. But hey, at the time, it did. It did a good job. Can't help with booking afterwards. Daz says, do we think Sting could help Darby in the main event? I'll answer that question now, actually, because makes sense how you feel, but I feel Sting will be nowhere around on this show.
Yeah, likewise. I think these guys in the main event, obviously we're still to talk about it, are going to put on a brilliant match. I don't think it needs the additional bells and whistles of, other people getting involved and stuff like that. They're purposely framing these guys all as baby faces against MJF. So much so they're trying to turn Sammy Guevara into a baby face as well. So yeah, it's just a matter that these three little piggies are going to get their house blown down by the big bad wolf, which is MJF, and that's it.
I love that comparison there. It's brilliant. For me, the only way that Sting's involved in this show is if he talks to Darby Allin before he goes out, puts something in his mind of like, you can do this and whatever, or you have to do this. Is your time, your moment. And then if Darby Allin, I'll say if at this point, if Darby Allin doesn't get the job done, that could be all that Darby needs to turn on Sting probably later down the line, because I want to see the Sting versus Darby match at some point this year. But that's a big if at this point. Juggernaut says, have Punk and MJF in Long Island and have MJF run through the crowd. Absolutely. And Long Island would be a perfect place to do that as well. I love the suggestion of town.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that would be good.
That would be sick. Daz goes on to say as well, Cole to win as well. So feels like Cole very popular in this as well. Feels like Sabu may have just swayed a lot of people, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe we've all kept the same anyway. But we'll move on in the meantime. And we mentioned about a potentially more violent match to take place at Double or Nothing. And well, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen, talk about Anarchy in the arena. The Elite with Hangman Adam Page taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. My goodness, I could be a while here, Mex. I do apologize because this feels like it's been the best booked feud going into this show. Obviously, the Elite were taken out before Dynamite, wasn't they? The Young Bucks taken into a hospital. Don Callis saying to Kenny, "You got to focus on your singles match later on the evening." Kenny did that singles match, got beaten down by the Blackpool Combat Club. We've seen Bryan Danielson make his return. At one point, we thought, is he going to help Kenny Omega? Of course not. He was joining and siding with the Blackpool Combat Club. People have been taken out one by one here as well. I mentioned the Young Bucks being taken out. Kenny was taken out for a period. So was Hangman Adam Page. So much that when Adam Page did return towards the end, he's wearing an eye patch as well. Nice little touch. Don Callis actually turned on Kenny Omega in the steel cage match. Obviously, that was quite shocking to many at the time when it did that. We never thought he would turn on Kenny Omega. And I think there could still be more to that story, by the way, which we've not seen just of yet. But one thing we have got for sure is when we did get all of the signs back together, we did get, like I said, the Elite together, and they screamed, "We are the Elite, and we're going to fight you, Anarchy, in the arena." And as you mentioned earlier on in this stream, Jon Moxley has promised this basically to quote a famous rock song, if you think with the violent sort of side, you ain't seen nothing yet, because this one is going to be the most violent of the lot. How much more violent can it get than Revolution with Jon Moxley?
Yeah, it feels like it's gonna get crazy. Like the promo he closed the show with was very damning, telling the Young Bucks, smile now, take your pictures now, because you're gonna get your teeth knocked out and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like he was telling anyone that doesn't like blood, anyone that doesn't like violence in their wrestling, this match is going to be a bloodbath. This match is going to be dangerous, like hide your kids and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, come Monday or whenever it is, I don't want to hear anyone saying, "Oh my God, Anarchy in the arena was crazy." He's told you it's going to be. And Jon Moxley is not a man to mince his words, especially when it comes to demonstrating violence, which he loves. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Like you said, this has been the best booked story going on into this pay-per-view. you almost kind of think this should be the main event. But you know, the world title is the world title, and with the world title, they're especially trying to make the statement that these are the pillars. You know, it's called the four pillars four-way match or whatever they've called it. So they're really trying to put over these younger talents, and it will be a big, you know, middle finger, if you like, if the guys that are the current, the now, just jump over the world title and main event the show, as opposed to the world championship doing that. So, but this has really been booked and, you know, got everyone's attention as like it's the main thing. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'll be lying if anything on this card has gripped me more than this. I think I had earlier thought during the week that the Elite get the win here, but I think maybe I'm actually going to go with Blackpool Combat Club. I'm not sure if they're going to go one further with this and we get, was it blood and guts match between these two teams? And maybe the Elite can win over there. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Blackpool Combat Club for the win at Anarchy in the Arena.
Do you know what? I mentioned about a gimmick match earlier on, and it's exactly the one that I think fits these two. I think that this is the prequel to the finale. I don't think it finishes here. I mean, like you said there, John Moxley's promised violence is probably going to look like the screenshots of the AEW video game Fight Forever by the time this is finished. But at the same time, we've seen screwdrivers involved as well, hence why we've got the eye patch with Kenny Omega. Someone else got the screwdriver job and has not been seen since. Kazuke Takeshita. Which is easy for me to say. I think he's going to appear on this show. I really do. And I think he's going to appear during this match, Anarchy in the Arena, because he can turn up anywhere. And I think it's going to look like he's going to side with the Elite, as he's been siding with the Elite on the build. And I think with Don Callis, he is going to turn on the Elite. And I think that Callis, or certainly Takeshita, maybe not Callis, but I'm going to go with the both in the predictions. I said it at the very start of this storyline. I think Takeshita is going to join the Blackpool Combat Club. It can work because previously Bryan Danielson and Takeshita have been working together on the MJF feud that was going on the Road to Revolution. So I do think that Takeshita will be involved there. You mentioned about Blood and Guts, which is traditionally 5-on-5. I think that's going to lead to a debuting Kota Ibushi.
Yeah, I think it's all been lined up nicely like that. The minute I saw Takeshita get stabbed with a screwdriver, and then obviously we saw Don Callis get busted open, rightly or wrongly, that's the first thing that came to my head. Oh my God, the Blackpool Combat Club have made these guys bleed, and that's their motto. Before you join us, you have to bleed with us. And here we are. Don Callis is still kind of, is he with them or is he not, sort of thing that hasn't been addressed. Takeshita for sure. I think he's a shoo-in to join the BCC. It's literally a matter of when. You know, Danielson has waxed lyrical about Takeshita and his ability and how great he is and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, he's done the sorority thing of bleeding with them. That's the induction. So yeah, it's just a matter of time for him to show up now, and then we see he could be the deciding factor in this match. And it'll be a great position for him, somewhere to be kind of thrusted into with this kind of main event attention, because Takeshi's been brilliant since he came on our screens in AEW.
Absolutely has indeed. And there was something I put in a comment on one of your videos a while ago. And I'm not sure if that would play out now, but I find it was quite interesting. For the first time in many, many months this week, William Regal was made reference to on AEW TV. Regal this, Regal that. And Bimmy has been thinking for a good little while now, Blackpool just doesn't seem like it fits anymore because there's no Regal there. I suppose they can still do it on tribute. If Callis does join, is there any chance that that could be changed to the Callis Combat Club?
Callis Combat Club, Winnipeg Combat Club. You know, it's an option, but I think you know what? These guys don't need Callis, as in like they don't need a quote unquote mouthpiece for them. And to be fair, Regal wasn't really that either, but at least Regal had in-ring experience, and we had seen Regal have that kind of gritty side to him. Don Callis, not so much. Don Callis would be literally there to spite the Elite. But yeah, it's however they want to play this out, and obviously, like we're saying, we're still holding on to the imminent debut, hopefully, of Kota Ibushi down the line. I think that'll just be absolutely brilliant and a great place for this story to go.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the Elite then and A/Golden Lovers could pick up the win then when it comes to Blood and Guts. Quick yes or no. Should Blood and Guts be a big pay-per-view show, or is it all right being used on Dynamite?
It's very interesting. I think being used on Dynamite is okay as like a with the TV specials or whatever the case is, because you don't want to get into the thing like where WWE are basically trying to get themselves out of naming a whole pay-per-view after just one match or a match type, and then it's like, yeah, it's just one match of this type happening on the card, and then everything else is just a regular singles match. So yeah, keep it as it's kind of just a match type, like how War Games is a match type and shouldn't really. I know they use it as a to sell the entire pay-per-view, but yeah, Blood and Guts has its own match type. I just would keep it as it is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point and fair argument, because otherwise you're in the trap of having to. I know they do it in the same place of the time every year because Anarchy in the Arena is the same, but
yeah,
the show isn't based around Anarchy in the Arena. They could skip it one year if they wanted to. They could even bring back a Stadium Stampede if they wanted to, but they obviously don't now as it's not the pandemic. But yeah, it's just an interesting topic, and certainly nice to know your take on it. But going into the comment section, Ed Fries, this is a hard pass. I'm not for ultra violence. You'll be good news, Ed. We're almost there. You won't have to deal with the violence for a lot longer on this one. Daz says the Elite to win via Moxley bleeding and Hangman pinning him. I like that indeed there. I think definitely a safe bet. Moxley probably will be bleeding himself on the way to the ring at this point. I would be. I think he looks in the mirror and it just happens. It's just,
his forehead just cracks like
literally at this point. Don was a great hand during his time in the ring. Certainly was. If we go back to Truth Commission days, and you know what? He was a part of ECW, so I suppose he can get extreme. But it was as a commentator and of course as a network leader to stop the violence. So maybe it's not the right comparison, but hey, he did have his run back in the day. We're going to move on in the meantime, and let's talk about another championship, shall we? We're going to talk about the AEW Women's World Championship. Jamie Hayter, of course, going against the outcast Toni Storm. Really, to be honest, obviously the build has been mainly the social outcasts against Toni Storm, against Jamie Hayter, pardon me, Britt Baker, and of course also Hikaru Shida when she's come in. Jamie Hayter was meant to be a part of a six-woman tag just recently, but of course was injured, and she's been apparently carrying an injury for a little while. They've made this match here with Toni Storm for the show. There's not really been much interaction with the two since then. Toni Storm's made her claim that she is basically only got the win last time with the help of Britt Baker. This time she's got the social outcast on her side. Now, I want to get your take on the build and stuff, but I actually want to give a shout out to one of our viewers, because I actually didn't really think about this when the match was first made. When the match was first made, I just immediately thought, a win here for Jamie Hayter. We're going to continue this on. It's just a throwaway. We've seen this match done before, even though it's awesome. We've seen it before. It's almost like rinse and repeat, though. Not really a fresh storyline going into it. But Eric Douglas actually suggested the idea Toni Storm's reign as AEW Women's World Champion was actually just interim. She was never given the full respect as Women's Champion. And I've seen the reports. Jamie Hayter was meant to be hurt. I can't remember if it's Fightful or Wrestling Observer, but Hayter's meant to be hurt. Eric suggested the idea that Hayter loses here to Toni Storm to get a recognized Women's World Championship reign, and Hayter wins it back at All In. What would be your thoughts if that was to take place?
So they actually have gone back and recognized Toni Storm's run. Because obviously they made Jamie Hayter's not an interim as well. They made her an actual women's champion. Then they went back and gave Toni Storm that recognition as well. So Toni Storm's first run is valid. However, that is an option. Everything else you said is completely an option, because obviously we know All In leads to a match in London. She's from Southampton, but both of them have strong roots in England. Toni Storm as well, even being an Aussie. So I think we all know the story. While they were having their time at NXT UK, they lived together in London, in England. So it would mean a lot for both of them to be on that stage at All In front of 65,000+ people. Maybe this is a bit of a time for Jamie Hayter to drop the title, recoup, let the outcasts, because they're very heavy on this outcast versus originals thing, rightly or wrongly, but let the outcasts almost have a big moment, a big win. It makes what they've been doing kind of important as well. And then she can drop it back at All In, which this match last year when Jamie won the title was phenomenal. So I'm expecting another great match. With that prediction, I'm just thinking, where does Saraya fit in? You'd almost think that Saraya would be the one to, maybe if Toni lost here and then maybe Ruby gets a chance somewhere in between, then Saraya gets the big all-in match with Jamie Hayter. It'd be interesting to see how they book that going towards that particular event. Here, I would say, even with the injury, Jamie Hayter retains. They haven't told any kind of story here at all, apart from Jamie Hayter's not been too well. And if they keep telling that story, maybe during the match, my mind might change that. Toni Storm could probably win here. And then who knows? Maybe there's even dissension in the group. Saraya is jealous that she's the world champion. But because they haven't really told any particular story between these two going for this title, I'll go with the safe option and say Hayter to retain.
I think that's a fair point you make there. Just a quick question as well then. So how have you felt with the Social Outcasts as a group? Has this worked for you as a story so far?
You know what? I keep laughing because you're calling them the Social Outcasts, and that's the guys that were in WWE.
My bad. Just the Outcasts, aren't they?
Yeah. But that
Where's
was
Heath Slater at?
Slater. That's what I was trying to think. Who's actually Social Outcasts? Yeah, it's Heath Slater and what's it, Bo Dallas and all these.
Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel. No, my bad. Got my WWE head on.
You know what? It hasn't been offensive. Like, I'm not like, oh, these guys are on TV again, I'm walking out the room or anything like that. But at the same time, it's just not really moved me. It's not really like, it feels like maybe towards the top of the year when they started this story, maybe they were waiting on like a Mercedes Moné to come in and get involved, and things stalled for a bit and took a bit longer. And then they saw, okay, we're not getting Moné, like, let's just continue with this story with what we have, whatever the case is. I think the whole spraying L's on people's, it's a bit lame. Like it's like Mean Girls Club kind of stuff, and I feel like AEW are above that. It's very WWE, if I can say that. It's okay because we're getting kind of good stuff in between, like Britt Baker's holding her own, Jamie Hayter's delivering great matches, Saraya's found her feet as a heel and doing much better work as a heel than a babyface when she returned. Toni Storm's continuously having great matches. Ruby Soho looks comfortable. They've brought in Shida now as well, who's always good to see. They're doing very good, like, okay, they're doing very decent stuff. Nothing to sing home about, write home about, but it's okay. Like I said, it's not offensive.
Yeah, I would agree. It's not offensive. I like, some of it's good. Some of it's a bit corny in places. I get they're trying to do the NWO stuff there, like you said, there with the elder spray cans and stuff. Obviously, I'll make my comparisons in a minute, but Ed just gave me a bit of a smile here. Heath is Toni Storm, Saraya's Bo Dallas, Ruby is Axel, the Social Outcast there. They're just outcasts that are very social. They're in our TV suits every week. So, I mean, what am I meant to do? But I suppose if you're going to go NWO, like, I guess Saraya's probably the Hogan, and we've got Toni Storm's probably the Nash, and Ruby's probably the Scott Hall. So, I mean, Nash won the championship a few times. I'm going to go and get serious with it now. I think Toni Storm is going to win this match. I think that my reasoning for it is I think that Hayter could just do with a bit of a breather. She's had a long championship reign of 6 months. If she's hurting, let her get a time where she can recoup. She can, like you say, you can win the belt back even before All-In if they want to do Jamie Hayter versus Saraya. They've got Forbidden Door. But in the meantime, I think Thunder Rosa returns. And I think Thunder Rosa returning, the match she was supposed to have before she left was Toni Storm.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they may revisit that, whether that's at Forbidden Door or at some point in the meantime. It's the first Showa Collision. They could do that match. Toni could win it, as I think she was probably going to win it, probably last year if we did predictions back then. But and then Hayter can come back when she's rested up after a month or so and come back and win the championship.
Even with you saying that now, to take the title off Hayter just before Forbidden Door would be harsh, I reckon. Especially because it sounds like I think Tony Khan kind of made reference to recently that Stardom may be involved in Forbidden Door. Jamie Hayter, well, Toni Storm has a lot of history with the Stardom ladies as well. She performed over there for quite a bit as well. But yeah, just carrying the title so long, this being a big crossover, those women in Stardom being heralded as, the best in the business when it comes to women's wrestling. I'd think you would want to put your best, if not one of your best, in Jamie Hayter. Give her that opportunity, give her that platform. Of course, if her body can't do it, then yeah, everything you're saying is the right thing. She needs to lose the title and rest and let someone else carry the mantle. But yeah, losing it, not being able to perform at Forbidden Door right now could be a bit harsh. But to be honest, if they planned to do like Monet versus Hayter, it looks like Monet's missing it as well because she's injured. So yeah, maybe, you know, they just scrap it all together, that particular match, put the title on Toni Storm and bring a new competitor in the meantime.
Absolutely. Or they could do that even without the championship, do a showcase match, and all of a sudden Hayter's like the last minute addition or something like that to a team maybe towards the end. But yeah, like you say, it does feel a bit harsh if she wasn't to be on the show. But yeah, pardon me, but obviously, yeah, not getting Monet on the show now, obviously with her injuries, definitely put a bit of a hit, because I imagine whether it was Hayter, whether it was Cargill, someone's going to be missing out on a big match as a result of that. But we'll go to the comments anyway and see what everyone has got to say, because we've got a few comments coming in. The first one here, Too Sweet Carl says, how did Toni even earn this shot? Did I miss it, or is it because they're feuding factions? I think it's more they're feuding factions, and Toni Storm has been picking up some singles wins across the board in other areas, whether it's necessarily Dark, Elevation, all the rest of it.
Like last week, I think it was last week's Dynamite, when I think they announced this match, they made reference to some type of statistic that Toni Storm has won X amount of matches. It sounded very ranking-ish.
Yeah.
And that's because I remember the first thing that came to my head is, you guys are saying this like the rankings are still around. The rankings don't mean nothing now. But yeah, they said something along the lines of Toni Storm has won like 5 out of 6 matches, more than any other women in the division in this year or something like that. And that's what justified her being the number 1 contender, basically, to the title.
I understand that entirely there. Yeah, makes sense. And that seems to be how she's got this position. Eric Douglas says Toni Storm needs to win. Daz says, where's Miro? Hasn't been seen for ages. He was actually backstage going into Tony Khan's office a couple of weeks ago, just before the Collision announcement was made. Who knows? Maybe he was getting himself an international championship challenge as well for this battle royal. We'll have to wait and see on the weekends. Ed says, Eve wins. I'm happy as long as Hayter is on the all-in card. And yeah, we can all hope that will be the case as well. Eric suggesting the idea of Kairi versus Hayter. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, Mex, but Kairi's saying he's actually finished with New Japan, if I'm not mistaken. She's out of contract there.
I think she's out of contract, or the contract is coming up. I mean, either way, she's not signed to anyone else. So, like, they could still use her. Maybe she's on like a pay-as-you-go kind of contract right now before she decides if she's committing again. But yeah, I definitely heard that, yeah, it's either the contract is up now or is coming up soon.
Well, either way, I hope the match happens, because I'd like to see that match. That sounds quite exciting when Eric put it up there. 4 wins in 5 days. I actually remember that being announced as well, actually. That's the one, absolutely. And Aaron Fries here saying Outcast versus Club Venus there as our final comment there. Loving your work, Ed, there.
Club Venus are the faction over in Stardom. I'm not their biggest fan. I just think they're okay. They're a bit too gimmicky for me, but to be fair, the Outcasts are as well. But yeah, Toni Storm carries the Outcast in terms of work rate, so I'll go for the Outcast there.
When it comes to Stardom, I'm willing to be educated. Get as many Stardom on that show as possible, so I can see what everyone's talking about, because I know that everyone says such high regarded things when it comes to the Stardom. But well, I'll tell you what, we're going to actually finish our stream by talking about 4 potential stars, or should I say 4 pillars. 4 pillars are going to collide in the main event for the AEW World Championship. We've got the champion MJF defending against Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And to think that this all started by a birthday bar mitzvah. That's right, MJF was celebrating in style. One of my favorite segments, actually, probably in AEW history. I found it so much fun to watch. And of course, obviously, we've got the interruptions of Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, all making their cases of, you know, the 4 pillars of why they're the strongest pillar. And that leads to them putting the other pillars down. We've seen some interesting promo sessions with Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. One I think was hit and miss with some people. But one thing that's been consistent, all have picked up victories on the road here, but there was a slight middle ground where I think Tony Khan decided that with these boys, we're going to decide who's going to be the number 1 contender. And the way to do that, we're going to do a tournament, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We're going to have one match and then someone gets a bye to the final. I would have done a round robin. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
now. I would have done a round robin because you still could have done the same method, the same thing of the whole storyline, what they wanted to do, where MJF then could have paid off Sammy Guevara to win, get through that round robin, and then face off in the finals. Of course, Sammy Guevara did get that position, but of course, after that, there was friction because MJF wouldn't let Sammy in his car. Or limo, whatever it was at the time. Jungle Boy and Darby Allin managed to get a tag team match. If they won, they would get involved in the match themselves here, and they did win that tag team match. Sammy and MJF are no more, and now we've all of a sudden got 3 baby faces versus MJF, or certainly AEW are trying to get Sammy Guevara as a babyface. That is literally about 2 months build, comprised in about, as best as I can, about 90 seconds. Mex, what's been your thoughts of the build?
Like you, that bar mitzvah segment is one of my favorite segments this year. And I think that was where this feud peaked, unfortunately. Like, it was so good, and not to say it's literally been, a straight down, from here. It's been a gentle, it got down, and some parts were good and come up again, and then it went down a bit. But that was definitely the highlight. Like you, I didn't understand the whole 3-man tournament. Why didn't they just do like a round robin? Or something of that nature. Another thing I did really like in this was the short alliance over 2 weeks between Sammy Guevara and MJF, and they were really cheesy on screen together and all of that stuff. I think I really enjoyed all of that. Another downer would be some of the promo work between these guys wasn't great, and promo segments they had within themselves not involving MJF really fell flat at times, and it felt a bit rambly and stuff like that. Even when they announced the tournament thing that they'd done, that round robin, and then you saw Darby got the bye through to the next round, and Darby, I think he went like yay or something like that when he got the bye, and I was thinking, I cringed. I literally cringed because you're Darby Allin. You love to kind of fight and put your body on the line and stuff like that. Being excited because you go through, it just didn't sit well with me. But you know what? Like what they're trying to tell us, this is the future. MJF's promo last night on Dynamite was, as much as he got onto all of those guys and, had a lot of stuff to say about them, he put them over in the sense of, we've been here from day one. This all started with us. You didn't know who we were before. 4 years later, look at this. We're the main event, going after this title that I hold and all that kind of stuff. So this has been good. I think around the point of September last year, when Brawl Out happened, and we're looking at a case where there was no Punk on our TVs, there was no The Elite on our TVs. I said, this is it. Like, yes, the company's called All Elite, but one day we're gonna have to prepare for life without The Elite on this show. And it's time for them to start kind of investing a lot more. And they did. They gave the title to MJF, they gave the title to Jamie Hayter. They started investing in these other talents, these younger talents, and building them up. And like we even saying earlier, like Anarchy in the Arena still feels like it's the most important thing happening on the show, but we have to keep backing the younger talents, and because these are the people that, as you guys are telling us, are going to be the pillars of this show over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So they've done good work for, I would say, their ability and their experience. It hasn't always been brilliant. It hasn't always been polished, getting us to this point. But they should be proud of themselves. It's not been easy. MJF is clearly head and shoulders above the rest of them, just in terms of comfortability when it comes to performing at this level. This match is going to be a banger, that's for sure. I think that's the one thing we can all kind of hang our hat on. Although the build has been good and shaky and bad and good again at times, this match is absolutely going to deliver. I felt sorry for it at one point. It's going to probably have to go on after Anarchy in the Arena. But I feel these boys are still doing a good job. I expect MJF to retain, because this is going to be a reign of terror. But they're going to do all in their might to really make it look like someone else is going to take it home. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it as well. And do you know what? I think you made an excellent point. The idea of the experience, where these guys are at. They've been thrown into a position of where they are right now. When is the perfect time to do this 4-way. We don't know if it's at some point in the future, something could change. Maybe 2024 happens. We don't get the chance to do it. Look at WWE with the 4 horsewomen. How did that match never happen? How did it never? Yes, it did in NXT. I know everyone will say it happened in NXT, but that was 12 minutes, and it was when they weren't at their peak. They could have done the match when they were at their peak. Yeah, these guys probably at the moment you may say, are they all at the top level at this moment? No, but it feels like the right time to do it because MJF didn't have any clear other challengers. We've got, like you said, Anarchy in the arena. Adam Cole's wrapped up with Chris Jericho. Like we've got a lot of the other people wrapped up with other things. Obviously, CM Punk's still not around at this particular time as well. Let's give them a shot and see how it goes. And like you say, for experience for where they are, where they're at, they have done a good job because, like you said, MJF is head and shoulders above the rest of how comfortable he is with this position. But he's the one that's been presented as the main event, had these half-an-hour segments that Jungle Boy says he gets half an hour on the TV every week just to sing and song, dance, and just talk, crap about everyone, show up when he wants and stuff like that. Those are valid points that have been made there. I would argue Darby Allin is actually showing some heel tendencies in the build of this. He has been the most unlikable Darby Allin that we've seen in the 4 years he's been in AEW, and I think that the heel turn is coming, which is why we mentioned earlier about Sting and Darby Allin. I think that match will happen before the end of the year. Sammy Guevara, interesting to try and make him babyface, but I did like his sort of backstage promo this past week of the fact that he didn't want to give up on his dream and he's fought himself to get here and stuff, and I thought that was pretty good. And Jungle Boy, we know he's very happy in ring, but I actually going to say for sometimes what's been a bit awkward with some of the promos there as well. Again, thoroughly enjoyed the backstage one this week where he was saying about every time he drives to Vegas, leaves a different person, and this next time he'll leave with the world title. I thought that was absolutely brilliant put together as well. But like you said, this is a reign of terror. As we said it earlier in the video, I mean, for me, if we're going to predict when I think MJF loses this title, it's going to be January. It's going to be December 31st or even January the 1st, depending on how they want to do the storyline. I can't imagine AEW would let MJF walk away with the championship, even in storyline purposes, for a month or month and a half. I suppose they could, but I don't think they will. Could they do the storyline better?
You know what? For me, when CM Punk left WWE with a title, that was one of the missed opportunities. Like, I know WWE are definitely more precious about all this, acknowledging other companies more so than AEW are. AEW have been doing that. But imagine if we had a CM Punk turn up with the WWE World title on TNA, on Ring of Honor. Like, even then, it just would have been absolutely mind-blowing. So, like I said, I think MJF has signed a new deal and I think he's going to be there. And I don't think he's going anywhere. Like, if they are going to play this into story, and MJF shows up to MLW with the AEW World title, and he shows up to other places that they are kind of, we know they're in bed with, sort of thing, but it's him playing up like, I don't need to, I'm a free agent and I've got the world title, sort of thing. And they're gonna bring another one along, AEW, but we all know that's a replica because I'm the real world title and no one's beaten me. I think they should learn from that CM Punk experience with WWE, and I think AEW have got the balls and the knowledge, the creative to do what that should have been properly. Because if I remember, CM Punk returned to WWE like a week later, didn't he? Like 2 weeks later.
3 weeks later. Yeah. I tell you mentioned a great idea there, and I think that to work with the working relationships like an MLW would be fun. But if it was to go to January 1st, then MJF was to walk away, Wrestle Kingdom's the place to show up, isn't it?
Yeah, the 4th of Jan. Yeah.
Like, because if they wanted to, then they could actually build for Forbidden Door if they want. MJF, if they have the bottle to do it, to actually have MJF stay away for a long time and actually pretend he's a New Japan superstar, to actually then come along to them being Forbidden Door, and that's when he loses the real world's title. But I mean, it's a 6-month build. It's long-term storytelling. I don't know if the patience in the modern day society and Twitter could handle it, but I don't know if it would be better either. I suppose only practice would work. But I mean, I'm with you. MJF to retain here, I think, is probably the way to go. But is there anything you'd like to add before we go to the comments and wrap things up?
No, just like I say, this match is going to be really good. I expect MJF to retain. I do actually expect maybe Darby Allin, like we were mentioning, he seems to be kind of the breakout from the other guys in this match. Maybe Darby Allin gets another kind of singles opportunity against MJF, is unsuccessful following that as well, and maybe that's what starts kind of breaking him down, and we see an interaction with Sting, and he's not so happy and turns, like we're saying. yeah, I think Darby Allin's going to get another go directly after this. And maybe for anyone in the comments, this is an interesting one. I've been thinking, I'm not too sure. MJF is the world champion. We're going into Forbidden Door. Who from New Japan faces MJF for that title? Like, I can't think of maybe like a good match. Maybe I'm trying to overthink it. I can't think of a good match. And I don't know if you have anyone in mind, Steve, of who that person could be. But yeah, it's a weird one.
See, when this is going back a couple of years now, so it wouldn't work now. But my first initial one when I did a AEW New Japan video a couple of years ago was Shibata, because Shibata just come back, and obviously now he's doing Ring of Honor, which I think ruins it. But the idea that MJF would kind of like, I'm going to cripple you, I'm going to put you back out for good. Those sort of promos, like that could tell a story, you know. So that's a, you know, probably bad choice of wording, but you know what I mean. But you know, through that. But I've got here Sanada or Toriano. I'd love to see Yano there. Would he go?
Yano would be funny, but Yano is more like a Orange Cassidy type character, and Sanada's obviously he's the champion over there, so Sanada's gonna have his own, you know, championship match for the IWGP championship. So they're not, I don't see them doing like champion versus champion or anything like that.
No, it's hard to say really. I mean, obviously, I prefer Okada to take on a Danielson or someone like that rather than do MJF. Although I'm sure MJF could handle the match and everything. And that could be the thing they could play with that with MJF is like, you know, you always didn't think I could hang with Danielson. Now I've got the great Okada, and it's like, you know, I can hang with him as well. You know, 5-star Rainmaker or 7-star match. I'm the one that did it, sort of thing. So, I mean, MJF, I'm sure, will make any program work. But I've got to say, I don't see a natural person to take the reign and take that match really. But I suppose would a Naito or I always can never pronounce his name correctly. It has a great matches. It was a world champion. Actually faced Okada this year just after Wrestle Kingdom. Actually stared him down at the end. He's a part of the LIJ group as well.
LIJ, yeah. Shingo, yeah. Shingo Takagi could have a really good match. But again, I think, you know, to be honest, we do this a lot to MJF, and we kind of say he's not one of those technicians when you start naming Danielson and those kind of people. But MJF is a fantastic wrestler in ring. But yeah, I just feel like those names, Shingo, could probably be reserved for someone like a Danielson, where Naito is a good shout. Naito is a very good shout for MJF. But I mean, we'll see. We're still a couple of weeks away from that.
Absolutely. We'll start building to it after Double or Nothing indeed. But let's go through our last comments then before we wrap things up. We've got Ed Fries here saying, I just wish that Sammy was out and Ricky was in his place. This could be fun. I think it might be a year or two early for this match to beat its best. Interesting take then. Like we say, perhaps it is early, but to get the match now while you know you can do it, certainly it shows how far they've come in AEW at this point. And certainly, as we said there, all four can be proud, despite even if there's been some ups and downs in the road during the build to this. But I think I've pulled this up from Eric before. Hayter actually might not make All In. We hope that she will. We've got a question in from Joe. Joe, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Says, how are we all? We're doing well. I have a quick question. Does anyone know what time Night of Champions starts in the UK? That will be 6 p.m. UK time. So it starts 1 p.m. Eastern. So 6 p.m. UK time is there. And also, we've got Temple Places. I'm late as always, but I hope you're both well. Temple Place, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. And of course, everyone go to subscribe to Temple Plays as well. Our local establishment, Ed Fry, saying, great show, lads. Thank you very much. It's great to have you on board as always. And Two Sweet Covers says, good stream, gentlemen. Talk to me in an hour, Steve, because I will be on the Mark Wrestling podcast. I'll be joining Kyle and Erica at midnight UK time, which will be 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to go and head on over there. I've got the link on my community post if you want to go and check that out. But that's pretty much all from us anyway. Thank you everyone that's been watching this video. And like I said, if you enjoyed it, then make sure to hit the like button, share with a friend as well, and subscribe to SCW. On the road to 2,000 subscribers, about 24 away the last time I checked. And of course, a massive thank you as always to our chat. They put in some great suggestions, great comments, great predictions as always. And last but certainly not least, a massive thank you as always to Mex WrestleMania UK. Thank you for taking the time to be on the stream and to talk AEW. It's always so good to talk to you about pro wrestling.
Yeah, man, they've had a good time here. And again, it always gets me in a good mood waiting for these shows to happen. So looking forward to a good show on Sunday night. But thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me and the great content you're always putting out. So obviously, I saw your predictions for Night of Champions as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of good wrestling, like we were saying earlier, this weekend.
Absolutely, indeed. I think we'll be all lacking some sleep when we've got Under Siege on Friday, SmackDown on Friday, Saturday Night Champions, and of course NXT and of this show, Double or Nothing, playing out on Sunday.
We're very lucky that in the UK we have a bank holiday this weekend, so we can catch up our sleep then.
That's probably the place to do it. Monday before Raw, ladies and gents, is the time to do it. Temple plays with a couple of comments and we'll wrap it up. If Sonata is still champion, then Sonata versus Rouge. That sounds fun. Or Andrade at Forbidden Door. Miro versus Tomohiro Ishii for the international title. Also liking the thinking. And also MJF versus Okada also suggested there. And of course, Ed saying, how did you know it was me? But yes, I'm double watching the stream. Ed, you're far too kind, my friend. Thank you for doing that. Indeed, it really does help a lot. But that's all from us anyway. Go and check out the other predictions that are on the stream for us right now on the channel. And go and check out some of Mex's content or Rest Things as well. They've got some great stuff going on over there. If you're watching on delay, thank you for watching as always. If you join late to the stream, rewind back to the start. There's some good stuff there from early doors. Take care. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves and we'll see you next time.